കാവൽ സംഗീതം നേടാം നന്മതൻ സ്നേഹം സന്തോഷം തേടാമെന്നെന്നും ശാന്തിയും സന്ദേശം ചേരാം നേരിന്റെ ലോകം കണ്ടെത്താം സത്യം പാലിക്കാം നിത്യം രക്ഷിക്കാം നിൽക്കുമ്പോൾ മൃദുഭാവം ദൃഢകൃത്യം ഇത് സേന നമ്മുടെ സേന കഠിനം ചലനം മൃദുരം പ്രിയവചനം
ഞങ്ങൾക്കും നിങ്ങളാശ്രയം എന്നെന്നും നൽകും സാന്ത്വനം വഴികാട്ടുവാൻ ജനമൈത്രിയായി
കയ്യെത്തും ദൂരത്തെ സേന എന്നെഞ്ചിൻ കാവൽ ശാന്തിരതം ഭയഭയരഹിതം വീരം മുഴകൃത്യം ചടുലം സ്ഫുടഭയനിപുണം അതിശക്താനിപുണം സ്വയം നിജഹൃദയം കഠിനം ചലനം പ്രിയവചനം ശാന്തിരതം ഭയഭയരഹിതം വീരം മുഴകൃത്യം ചടുലം സ്ഫുടഭയനിപുണം കർമ്മം നമ്മുടെ സേന.
Hello and welcome to all tuning in from around the world. I'm Meera J. David, a member of the organizing team here at Hac'KP 2021. We are delighted to bring forth the 5th edition of Hac'KP. The Hac'KP started from March 2021 and has 2 phases. We are in the first phase and the hackathon is still in progress. Unlike past years, this year we work with the aim of building a single solution with the help of participants and mentors to tackle a very prominent theme, demystifying the dark web. It's bigger and better this time and is much more than just laurels. Today officially marks the beginning of the live Tech Talk series, and before we begin, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our pillars of support. We have Sql Security as a technology partner, Cloud4c as a cloud partner, Mashup Stack as a knowledge partner, Ecoloop 360 as a sustainability partner, and Federal Bank and HDFC as our banking partners. Our community partners include ICMEC, Owasp, VSys India Affiliate, ASRG, Sql Trivandrum Chapter, Nalcon, GTech ATFG, and AWS UG Kochi. We would also like to thank our partners, Be Safe and Be Console. Thank you all for the support shown in organizing Hac'KP. So let's not wait any longer and get right into it. Today we have with us Mr. Jim Manico. It would be an understatement to say that he is an absolute enthusiast. Jim is the founder of the Manicode Security, where he trains software developers on secure coding and security engineering. He is an Owasp volunteer and a former Owasp global board member. He has more than 30 plus years of experience in the field of software development and application security. Before I hand over to Jim, I would like to let the audience know that you can drop in the queries in the comment section in the Hac'KP YouTube and Facebook channels, and Jim will respond to your queries at the end of the session. So it's with great pleasure that I invite Mr. Jim Manico to flag off the very first session in this Tech Talk series. Jim, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction, and I'm very happy to be here to speak on behalf of the Kerala Police to talk about cybersecurity to help your audience learn more about cybersecurity. So thank you so much for having me here today. So let's get to work, everyone. So I'm here talking to you from Florida in the United States, all the way out to you in Kerala and India to talk about cybersecurity. And this is a really important topic because in India, the number of innovations and advancements when it comes to software engineering, it's too much to count. There are software developers all over India working to build software for companies, for government, and every single person in India benefits from the innovations that come from software development from the engineers all over India. And however, as a world, all over the world, as we build software, our industry of software development has struggled to get security correct. And building software, websites, mobile applications, software for government and banking infrastructure, this is very difficult to build, requires great expertise and innovation and engineering knowledge. Again, that's common all over India. But we all again struggle to do this work with security in mind, mostly because none of us were trained to do this in school as a software engineer. Many of the programming languages and frameworks that we use are very insecure by default. And the methodologies that we know in engineering to build secure software is unfortunately very new. So this is why I'm here today, just for a little while, to talk to you about what is it going to take as an engineer to build more secure software all over India and all over the world. Because I realize that Indian software engineers, you're not just building software for India. India is one of the hearts of software development to make the whole world a better place. So the work that you do, it's not just for Kerala as a software engineer. It's not just for India. It's for every person in the world, and the betterment and the improvement of all of mankind is what we're trying to accomplish in software engineering. In order for this innovation to continue, in order for modern society to continue, we all have to learn how to write software that is much more secure than the software that we're building today. And so this is about engineering excellence. When we're building software, there are many phases of that engineering. We need to set up an understanding of what government or business wants in their software. We need to do some kind of technical design to prepare to build the software technically. We need to code software. We need to do elaborate, rigorous testing of our software. It's easy to make mistakes. And then we need to have operations where we monitor the software that we build for the betterment of mankind all over the world. And when we're doing this careful engineering of software, we need to account for security at every phase of development. And this requires a revolution in how we think as a software engineer. This requires a revolution in how we think as government. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a software engineering revolution. I'm talking about a revolution where we change our engineering practices to be more careful about security every moment that we're building code for the betterment of mankind. So the first thing that you want to do is we really need to have a published document that describes how we're going to do security. Because if any of you have worked in software engineering, some engineers come to our team and some go, and they come and go. Engineers are very mobile. I know you engineers, you take a job with me, you do some coding, I teach you a lot of tricks, and then you're worth more rupees, so you go get another job. That's okay. That's part of freedom. It's okay. But when you go get another job, when a new engineer comes into your workplace, we need to teach them what security means for our software group, not as something secondary, but as a major focus of how we bring engineers into our team, where security and engineering cannot be an afterthought, but it must be one of the main focuses of what we do when we build software. If we go back to the beginning, the things that we're looking to accomplish are good availability, so our software is always available to the constituents of Kerala and anywhere in the world. Good integrity, so the data that we care about cannot be modified. And confidentiality, so the data that we care about can only be seen by those who have proper access. And here is some rules from one of the original big software engineering companies of the world, Microsoft, which many of you have worked for. So I want to talk about these rules. These are the 10 immutable laws of security. And even though it's older, from 2011, it's a very valuable lesson for those of us who care about building secure software. Law number 4, if you allow one of the bad guys to run active content in your website, then it's no longer your website anymore. So one of the things that we want to do in web development is to make sure that the user interface that we build is done with very secure programming techniques. And this is hard to get right. Law number 5, weak passwords will defeat any strong security. So those of us who build software, we have to make sure we have good rules to encourage everyone who uses our software to use strong passwords. And we also want to use multi-factor authentication everywhere that we use software. And as a software developer, we have to build multi-factor authentication into all of our programs. There's no excuse. Passwords by themselves are terrible for security. So we can't depend on passwords anymore. We need to do something stronger everywhere we build software if we want to have security, multi-factor. Also, your computer is only as secure as the administrator who is trustworthy. So we have to make sure that the administrators and the people that run our programs and who administer our departments have proper ethics and are taking the responsibility of being an administrator very seriously. And number 7, encrypted data is only as secure as the decryption key. Part of building secure software is to do cryptography. We need to use special mathematics, cryptography mathematics, to protect data at rest and to protect our data when we transfer it to someone in a secure fashion. And these cryptographic keys, these little text files, these cryptographic keys are the heart of building secure software with proper cryptography. And we need to protect those keys in a very special way using a key vault or a secrets management solution. So, India is a leader in software development around the world already. We all know this. And so some of these techniques to do secure software are very new. They're very challenging. But that's why we're hired to be software engineers, to do the difficult work, to do the challenging work, and to do it well. And that requires us to do good security. So here's some other ideas about security as it relates to software development. Security is always going to be very invasive. Security is going to always be inconvenient when we're talking about software. That means everybody needs to participate in this. As a user, you need to set up multi-factor. And as a user, you need to use a strong password. As a programmer, I have to build security in. I mean, everyone who's working to manage software, they need to be a little inconvenienced at times to do good security. Security cannot be applied as a patch at the end of your project. We need to take security seriously from day one when we're building software for government, for banking, or for the constituents of India. Software must be developed with security turned on in our brain and in the servers that we're using to practice when we build software. Software must be written secure the first time. We should be preparing for security in our software that runs all that we do from the very beginning of our projects. And software developers, We all mean well. We want to build good software. We do. It's part of the pride of our job is that we want the software. People who build software, we're artisans and we're scientists and we care about the work that we do. We want to do it right. But we've been trained to make software work from a functional point of view for most of our career. And security is a difficult thing that we haven't been taught about. So we're often pushed to make software just work without security built in. So we need help as a software engineer is what I'm trying to say. We need very significant testing programs and knowledge and training and time to build software correct. The other important thing about software engineering is we need help. There's no shame to ask for help as an engineer. When you build software, it is a little bit of a sport, and it is a sport that is not won by individuals. The sport of software engineering is won by a team. And so part of that team that builds software to run the country, to run government, to run banking, and many other aspects of society, we need experts in application security. So those of you who are listening to this presentation, some of you may be new at software development as part of your job. I want to ask you to, number one, go on the journey of a hero. We need heroes today. And what is the journey of a hero? Is they start in a place sometimes of difficulty and challenge. And that hero needs to learn new things. That's what security is. We need to learn security. They need to master security. And for that hero to go on a journey of learning security, many are going to help that hero along the way learn the mastery of security that's needed as a software developer. And then they achieve this knowledge. And when you achieve the knowledge of being a secure software engineer as part of being a hero for the country, you must pass that knowledge on to many other developers that you work with. So this is critical for the well-being of our whole planet to build more secure software. And let's look a little more detailed. This is an engineering process that we use to build software. It is complicated. It requires more rigor. It requires more focus. It requires more detail to build software security for the betterment of our society. We have standards and requirements. We have different kinds of evaluation of the work we're doing for security. We have review. We have security testing that is integrated into how we write software. I'm going to talk about how to set up a security testing program as you're building software in this talk. This is one of the most important things you can do when you want to start building secure software is you want to do very elaborate security testing, not at the end of your project, but from day one, right as you begin, right as you're starting your project. We want very detailed testing built into our security. One of the big changes in engineering over the last couple of years is a concept called DevOps. DevOps is a principle to add automation, in particular security testing, as we're engineering software. The most important point when it comes to security, and it comes to software, and it comes to building a society that is secure, that we can trust the software that we're all forced to use every day. The most important point in time where we can verify the security is at the moment a software developer checks their code into a code repository. Now let's stop for a second. What is a code repository? As what we do as software developers is we write code every day. We write code. We type out these special commands that build websites, that build mobile apps, that build all kinds of software. We're typing in code. And as a developer, when I finished a piece of code, I'm going to check it in to something called a repository, a code repository. But one of the famous ones across the world right now is GitHub. GitHub is a Microsoft service where they will protect and collect your code for a variety of different purposes to help engineers author software. Now, think about this moment in time. You're a developer. You've written a new feature for the Kerala Police, working for them to build software for their department. You know, Kerala Police manages like 35 million people in Kerala that live together, that need to be, you know, governed by the government in the area. And they're building software to aid in their work. And some of us will write software for them to aid in their work. But that moment as a developer that I check my code into a repository, this is a very important moment in time. This is where we want to do rigorous security testing before we allow that developer to complete checking code into their repository. So when a developer checks this code in, we want to run 3 kinds of tests. We want to run a static analysis scan. We want to run a dynamic analysis scan. And we want to run a scan to check on the third-party libraries that are being used in code. So this is really important now, right? We're here talking about software security. We're here to talk about what we can do as engineers to build better, more secure software. So now we're talking about the moment in time, a very auspicious, important moment in time, where one of the engineers, one of the many millions of engineers all over the country, is checking code into a repository. Stop now. At this moment where that developer checks in code, we're going to run some programs to look at the code carefully to make sure that no security problems were written in that code before we accept it and add it to our repository. And so let's take a look at a couple of those types of testing that is so important to us. The first kind of testing I'd like you to make sure you're embracing is called static analysis, right? Static analysis. It must be integrated into your repository. So as a developer checks in code, we run a static analysis tool. So it seems so minor. This seems like such a small thing, but this is immensely important for the well-being of society, is that when code is being checked into a repository, that we run one of these special tools that runs fast, that looks at the code that's being worked on to build security, to make sure that code is good for security. There's a variety of different tools on the market, and I recommend, and there's so many different scanning tools. I want to recommend a tool to you, though. I want to recommend SemGrep because it's free. I know that some of these tools are very expensive, and you may need them someday. But today, if you're a software developer, if you're working with software developers, you can run this tool. It's a free tool called SemGrep that will look at your code, look at it very quickly, and identify if you have any security vulnerabilities, security weaknesses in your code, so you can go back and fix that code. This security testing is fundamental to building security in a secure way. The other kind of tool that we're going to use for security testing is called Dast, Dynamic Application Security Scanning. Now, static analysis like SemGrep, that scans the code looking for vulnerabilities. Dast, Dynamic application security testing. That checks the live running software that you're working on, like a web application or a web service that you're building, and checks those for security. This is the second kind of tool. And there's also another free piece of software called Owasp Zap. This is a free dynamic scanner that will look at your running application to tell you if you have any security bugs in that application. So now we're doing rigorous testing here. See, this is the important part of security, is we can't just let developers write whatever code they want. To help developers achieve secure software, we need to run special tools to verify their work. Remember, I said there's three kinds of tools. The first one is static analysis that looks at the code for vulnerabilities. The second one is dynamic analysis that scans a running application looking for security vulnerabilities. The third kind is called a software composition analysis tool. Part of the way, and this we've known about this since 2013. So the whole issue is that many of our developers today, are using third-party libraries to help them build software quickly. This is part of the world of open source software. All over the world, some developers who are building libraries of functions or frameworks, they build this software in an open source way where it's free for everyone to use that code to aid other developers in their work. And for many years as a professional, I've been using these third-party libraries. And it's not my code. It's someone else's code that they put in a public repository for me to use. And we all share in this code. Everyone uses open source code to help them build software. But the problem is, and we've been using open source libraries for decades now, but the problem is many of the third-party libraries that we use today are filled with security vulnerabilities. And this is a giant problem. So the static analysis tool that we looked at, right? Static analysis, looking at the code for scanning, dynamic analysis, scanning the application. These two kinds of tools are looking at your code for vulnerabilities. But we also wanted to use a third-party scanner to look at the open source libraries that we use in development. And there's another free tool called the Owasp Dependency Check. Now, as your company gets bigger, as your software department gets bigger, as your project gets bigger, you may want to use commercial tools to do your security testing. But when you're getting started today, hopefully I've introduced to you several of these scanning tools or types of scanning tools that are free to help you get started today, to achieve excellence in engineering today, so you can verify that your work has good security properties. So that's one of the most important parts of building software, is that you build it using open source, you build it using scanning tools that are watching your work every single day, alerting you when you've made a mistake in the world of security. Remember, software engineering is a sport that's built by a team. So software engineering, it's not something we can do alone. We need help when we're building software for big organizations. And using these security tools is a very big part of it. Another thing that I would like you to look at is security requirements. So security is so complicated today that I feel it's important that we use a standard to help us understand what our job is when building secure applications. One of the projects from the Owasp Foundation is right here. It's the Owasp. By the way, Owasp stands for the Open Web Application Security Project. It's a charity that does security, gives security advice for free, and has many projects that the community builds also for free. So this is the Owasp Application Security Verification Standard, known as the ASVS, Application Security Verification Standard. The current version is version 4.02. This is a standard with under 300 requirements that will help you understand the knowledge necessary to build good software, to build secure software. So I've given you some advice today, right? So let me sum up the advice here in my favorite editor, Sublime Text. So let me sum up the advice. Number one, build secure software. Number one, yeah. Number two, use security testing tools. As you use security testing tools for software development. And I recommended a SaaS tool, a free tool called SemGrep. I recommended a Dast tool, and I recommended Owasp Zap as a free tool to get you started as a software developer. I also managed a SCA tool. It's called Software Composition Analysis. The SCA tool will help you check your third-party libraries, right? Your third-party libraries to make sure your third-party libraries are secure. And this is the Owasp Dependency Check. These are all free tools. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to help you get started with the process using free tools in software engineering, because software engineering and the software we build runs the whole world today. We want to make sure upfront, early, that we're building our software securely. And again, because India is one of the centers of the world in developing software for the whole planet, we want to make sure that everywhere throughout India, everyone building software is doing proper security analysis. I also recommend that you use security requirements. I mentioned the ASVS standard to help with that. So there's a few ideas to help. These are a few ideas to help you as a software engineer build better code. I have just a few more notes here. Here's a few more ideas. Remember, you want to have a published and well-maintained document in how you do security. So when a new developer enters your team, you can explain to them what they need to do for security as part of their job. Number two, you want a clear list of security requirements and security checklists to help developers write secure code. We want to make sure we have a security expert helping developers build secure code, and that we have all these automated security testing processes to verify that our code is being built securely. And we want to use good security services like login systems and similar to help us build our software. So I'm here just for a little while to talk to you about software engineering. This is very important for the well-being of Kerala. Software engineering that's done secure is important for all of India. And because of the work you do, it's important for the entire world that all of us care about writing secure software, for those of us who are engineers and those of us who support engineers. I thank you so much for giving me a chance to talk to you about some of the basics of software engineering. And if you have a question for me about secure software, you can always reach me at jim@manicode.com. It's been my great pleasure to talk to you today, and I wish you the best in your pursuit of security and secure software. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you all very much.
Thank you, Jim. Now we are open for the Q&A session, and Jim will be responding to queries from the comments. So we have a question here. So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Can I
I'm
read
sorry.
it?
So questions are coming in. I see questions.
Yeah, I will read it out. So there is also information coming of AI that is being used to analyze ES, especially in edge networks, that is going to be used in many places of IoT.
Yeah, artificial intelligence and machine learning is relatively new technology that's being used in some security analysis. Absolutely. But please be careful. Artificial intelligence is very advanced and new technology. We're still learning about it. And it's I know that a lot of products and services in the world of security do include some machine learning, but it's not like a magic solution to solve problems. It's one tool among many in providing proper secure networks. So I don't think it's going to save us and answer all of our questions. It's just one tool among many to provide security services in the world today. How does your payment details from giant online retailer such as Domino's, Big Basket, and Air India get stolen? You know, one of the ways that your credit card information gets stolen is through an attack called Sql Injection. This is an attack where an attacker will hit a database and steal credit card information from an e-tailer website. You know, as a programmer, when I'm building SQL queries, I use a technique called query parameterization so my website is secure in that way. But also, as a consumer, I keep a very low number of credit cards and I change the number every year because so many websites have my credit card. So once a year, I call my credit card company and say, please cancel my current number and give me a new number. And all the websites that are storing my credit card, suddenly it doesn't matter anymore. So I advise you to do that once a year. Have your credit card number changed by your credit card company. If you just ask them, they'll often do it. And also, if you have a credit card that's like for your checking account, don't use that online. The credit card that you get cash from, I keep that separate from the credit card I use to do online purchases. So I try to avoid giving out my credit card number that's more important and closer to my accounts. And the credit card number I do give out to websites, I call the bank and have those numbers changed about once a year.
Okay, next question.
Amal, I didn't talk too much about IST. Dast is when you scan a website, a live running website with attacks built into your scanning tool to test for security. IST involves you installing an agent into the app itself to do security testing. And IST is a new technology. It is very expensive. One of the companies that I've worked with in the IST world is HDiv. And I think this is one of the better SaaS. So IST. So for IST, one of the companies I recommend you look at is HDiv. They are reasonable, they're affordable, and there's nothing free in the IST world that I know about. I'm trying to be non-commercial and recommend the free tools out of respect. I don't want to be a salesman here, right? But one of the companies I'm affiliated with is HDiv. Because you asked, they are an IST company. You will install an agent into your software to do deeper security testing. But be careful. This is a new area of security testing. Some of the vendors are very expensive, and I try to be budget conscious when I'm buying security scanning tools. Yeah, for mobile application security testing, I would look. I have homework for you. There's homework for you. And your homework is to look at the Mobile Application Security Testing Standard, MASVS, the Mobile Application Security Verification Standard, and read that entire document. And that will help you learn to be a better security tester. A new version of the standard just came out about a week ago. So there's a brand new version of this. So if you want to learn more about security testing, your homework is to go look at the Mobile Application Security Verification Standard to learn more about doing security testing with mobile applications. There's your homework. That's your homework. Okay, so MASVS, the Mobile Application Security Verification Standard. That's your homework. What's best OS for a programmer? It's all the same. I don't, whatever you want. I use Mac OS. I like Mac OS, but I know they're not cheap. Any OS can work. It's all the same to me. Any other questions? OSCP certification is a certification to become a OSCP, to be a penetration tester, a professional whose job is to test software for security. So this is one of many certifications you can get, right? It's the offensive. What does OSCP stand for? It's the Offensive Security Certification Program, I believe, right? So if you want to learn to be a security tester who knows how to ethically attack applications to find security bugs in them, OSCP is a very difficult and challenging certification to certify you as a security tester, called pen testing. So that's a reasonable pursuit. My pleasure, sir. Any other questions? Good questions. I think we're done with questions.
Let's wait for 2 minutes to see if there is any.
Yes, ma'am. I'm ready. I'm ready to wait. I am here to wait. And if you have more, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. If you have more questions for me, please send me a message, send me email. How can we identify hacking? I'm not sure. Oh, how do you identify that you're in the process of being hacked? Is that the question? So I would look at this application logging standard. So if you want to be aware of when you're being hacked, I think you want to do good logging to log certain security events in your software. I'm going to recommend a brand new cheat sheet that just came out from Nike Corporation in the US, donated this. This is the application logging vocabulary cheat sheet. I'm going to recommend this cheat sheet because it shows you of the events that you should be logging in order to detect when you're being hacked. And so that's my advice. The application logging vocabulary cheat sheet is one of the Owasp free resources. So you as a programmer can add logging events in your code to alert when you're under attack. There's your answer. I am from Hawaii. I also have an office in Virginia, and I have an office here in Florida. So I'm in my Florida office right now in the United States. How much can we trust third-party plugins? Not very much. I only use a few of them, and I try to minimize my use of third-party plugins because I have no guarantee on their security. Thank you very much. Thank you, Archana. I think we did good with the questions today. Let's wind up. Thank you so much.
Yeah. That was a very insightful interaction, Jim. So we have received very tremendous amount of information and very excellent insight from you this evening, and we are very grateful for your expertise and also for the suggestions you have given. On behalf of Hac'KP, I extend a sincere thanks to you for being with us today, and thanks to all who tuned in. If you have any additional queries, you can reach out through his mail he has given. So thank you all. Okay, and to know more details on the topics and dates of the upcoming tech talks, please check out the announcements in the official website and social media handles. See you all again. Thanks a lot, Jim. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Stay
My best
safe.
to you all.
Thank